This is my book review for Last Light by Alex Scarrow. Last Light is a fictional apocalyptic thriller that exposes the fragility of society and civilization in early 21st century England. An England that houses millions of people into packed urban areas where they are utterly reliant upon the importation of food and where supermarkets use the just-in-time delivery system that saves on shop floor space and expensive warehousing. The England that came close to complete chaos during the limited tanker drivers' strike, when Tony Blair's government described the country as 9 meals away from anarchy. Little has changed since that time, with The Independent recently reporting that England's food growing, importation and delivery system remains as fragile as ever. In Last Light, blasts that appear at first to be unrelated acts of terrorism cripple the world's oil supply and chaos ensues. Our Kiwi oil engineer hero is trapped in Iraq with a platoon of British soldiers, as they fight to get out of the country, which is basically in meltdown. His wife is stuck in Manchester, desperately trying to reach their children in London, as the government shuts down the transportation network. Meanwhile, his children are holed up at a friend's house in London, without power and with insufficient food and fresh water, whilst gangs loot, rape and murder in the streets outside. Our hero begins to realise that everything is connected, that the situation befalling the world is directly related to a peak oil report he compiled for some shadowy characters a decade ago. He realises that his family is now in danger. And that's all I'm giving away, folks. Buy it and read it yourself. I found it well written and rather gripping. The depiction of England as only a few power cuts or failed fuel and food deliveries away from disintegration is very chilling. I only have one gripe with the novel, and that is the bad guys behind it all. I think the novel would have worked better without them. That said, I still absolutely love this book. Here's a short quote from the book. As they entered the tinned goods aisle, Leona was aware that it was noticeably busier than the other areas in the supermarket they had walked through. Half a dozen shoppers like herself warily eyeing each other up, whilst filling their trolleys with canned goods. As she, Dan and Jacob wheeled their trolleys down towards them, there was a moment of shared communication, eyes meeting, and barely perceptible nods of acknowledgement. They're here for the same reason. Somehow the thought that there were other people out there who had begun to see beyond the news soundbites to something more disturbing made the bizarre situation she was in right now feel that much more real. Leona could see that these few people alone had already cleared the shelves of several ranges of products in the aisle. My God, there's only 6 of them at it, and already the shelves in the aisle are beginning to empty. She shuddered at the thought of what it was going to be like in this supermarket, and every other one around the country, when the penny finally dropped for everyone else. End of quote. In my own work, I occasionally meet celebrities. A fortnight ago I met Simon Scarrow, brother of Alex, and himself an author too. He came across as a very nice chap. I mentioned Last Light, and he said he had read his brother's book and enjoyed it. He immediately added that it had made him view the world a little differently. "It seems a little more fragile," he said, "and I must admit I store a little more food since reading it." I did exchange a few messages with Alex Scarrow through Facebook after reading his novel. He said he was happy with how the book was received and was planning the sequel, which became Afterlight. At the time, I asked him about food storage and prepping. I wondered, having written the book, whether it had changed his own view of the world. He confessed that researching and writing the book had caused him concern, and that he had considered prepping. However, he had come to the realization that, if the shit really did hit the fan, any punk with a gun, as he termed it, could take his store. Perhaps that's the single major difference between England and much of the world. Gun ownership is relatively low, and it's difficult for most people to obtain a firearm legally, but we do share a common fear with the rest of the world. No matter what weapons we have, no matter how well we prepare, a better armed and experienced individual or group can take it all away from us. Last Light by Alex Scarrow. I very highly recommend it.